If you get to the end of the day, the week, the month, the year, in my case, the decades, and you look back and you say, oh no, why did I procrastinate all that time away? Oh, never mind, I can always make some more. No, you can't, it's gone. So the time to catch procrastination is when it's happening and you still have time to do something about it. And you will only do that if you understand A, that you're procrastinating, and B, why am I procrastinating right now?
Have you ever found yourself staring at your to-do list, desperately wanting to work, but somehow not working? You're scrolling through social media, reorganizing your desk, making another coffee, anything but the thing you actually need to do. You are not lazy. You are not broken. And according to today's guest, your problem isn't willpower, it's neuroscience. Robin J. Emdon is the procrastination slayer, but he didn't start out that way. He started as someone who took 10 years to finish a 6-year degree. Taking lessons learned, Robin breaks down why your brain actively sabotages your productivity, introducing us to what he calls your inner productivity team: the conductor, the fun-size warrior, and the scholar. He'll explain why planners work brilliantly until they don't. And he'll share research showing how one missing element could boost your outcomes by 33%. Then, for members of the Star Coach community, Robin provides an alternative way to traditional goal setting that is inspirational and more effective. Learn more about the Star Coach community, access the hundreds of Star Coach episodes, and take advantage of many free resources that we have to help you thrive at starcoachshow.com. That's starcoachshow.com. Now, whether you are a chronic procrastinator or someone who occasionally watches their productivity slip away, this conversation will change how you think about getting things done. Welcome to the Star Coach Show. I'm Meg Rentschler, and this is Robin J. Emdon. Robin J. Emdon, welcome to the Star Coach Show. It's delightful to have you here.
Hello, I'm really pleased to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Well, I had to invite you because I had the honor of being on your podcast, which I'll tell everybody about in a minute. And I thought you were so delightful. Before we even left that in, I was like, would you be on mine? Because I want my audience to get to know you. So thank you for accepting the invitation.
Well, talk about setting me up for a fool. Thanks very much.
You're so welcome. So we're going to be talking about procrastination, how to get over procrastinating, how to be productive. I mean, that is something I think everybody's ears are going to perk up. And I'm going to tell everybody, in addition to him being so charming, why I wanted Robin on the show. But first, let me welcome all of you to the show. The Star Coach Show focuses on strategies, tools, and resources for coaches, for leaders, each and every week. Delighted that you're here with us. If you like what we do, be sure to subscribe wherever you're listening so that you get other interviews with incredible guests like Robin. You get my own tips and strategies for you. And we help you just kind of go into the world each and every day thinking about how you can be your very best. Now, let me talk about Robin and why I wanted Robin to be on the show with me. Well, because how many of us procrastinate? Hello, could we and Robin's actually going to share his own journey to creating a podcast, Goal Busters, that helps all of us think about how are we going to be more productive. He is the author of Get Resultsology, the science of getting stuff done. He's also known as the procrastination slayer. So who wouldn't want that person on their podcast? Being an accountability coach, Robin helps other people think about how they are showing up and how they can use science to help them show up more productively. Now, Robin joins us all the way from South Devon, England. He is going to help you think about how you can achieve more with his brain-based strategies. And I want you all, as we walk through this interview, to think about what can you do today to help you profit tomorrow. And that is Robin's specialty. So with that, Robin, welcome again to the Star Coach Show. Delighted to have you here with us.
I'm delighted once again to be here. Thank you so much for that warm introduction. You make me sound like a scientific boffin, and as you will soon discover, what I know about science you can write on the back of a very old-fashioned postage stamp, and you'd still have space left to lick it.
Well, you know what? We're going to squeeze every ounce of that out, and we're going to start with your own journey. So what is it that made this concept getting results and helping other people get results? What was it that brought that front and center stage for you?
Well, my story begins in the middle. So if I tell you the middle was a facepalm moment, an oh no moment in 2019. And then I go back to the beginning of the story as to why I had that moment, which goes all the way back to the year 2000. And I was in year 2000, I trained to be a life coach over there in Appointing America in California in the United States. I trained under Tony Robbins and his faculty. I did an intensive coaching training with him. And then I came back to the UK because his plans changed about what he wanted going forward with his whole coaching program. And my plans changed, as in I didn't really want to move to San Diego, which was all that was on offer at the time. So I came home, and because I had young children, and then 2 or 3 years later, after launching my own coaching business, I became a full-time single dad, and I parked the coaching. Now, the salient point from all of that is I'm a coach, and I know that you have people coaching that listen or watch this. So cut forward to 2019, and I'm sat in a coffee shop having a coffee with my older brother. And I said to him, I was bragging, I was boasting. I got my degree. I've just finished my home-based degree. It's, I've been trying to finish my education for my whole life. Look at me, aren't I great? I've done it. Isn't it wonderful? Woohoo. And my brother's falling asleep. He's like, oh, I'm seriously not bothered, not interested. And then I thought, oh, I'm not getting a rise out of him. Oh, I know. Trust me to take 10 years to do something that I should have done in 6. And he perked up and he went, oh, that's interesting. Why was that? Love to have a go. And I said, oh, procrastination. And I laughed, changed the subject, right? And then when I was driving home, it hit me. I had that facepalm moment, although my hands were on the steering wheel, otherwise I would have.
Well, I was going to say,
but I
you're safe with
that's
us.
Right. I was still safely driving, but I realized, hang on a minute, you're a trained coach. You can't procrastinate. What the heck are you talking about? And
being so proud of it, procrastination.
Yes.
Making it all fun.
Exactly. And I thought, well, hang on, what's going on here? So I asked myself 2 classic coaches questions. Question 1 is, where else in your life does this show up? And question 2 is, what does it cost you? Well, the answer to question 1 was absolutely everywhere. I realized I procrastinated in every field of my life, my entire adult life, everywhere. And I thought, okay, I did actually ask myself, well, how come I've only just noticed? And I realized I'd always treated it like I treat a common cold. Before COVID, people have a bit of a sniffle. They work through it, don't we? You just say, oh, I've got a bit of a cold. Just keep your distance a little bit. I'll be fine in a couple of days. And you just carry on. Oh, I've got a bit of procrastination. Oh, it'll be gone tomorrow. It's always gone tomorrow. Right? So, and that's how it didn't register. So the facepalm came from, what on earth was I thinking? Why wasn't I paying attention to this, right? Why was I treating it so lightly? And then and of course, with the degree, I got 10 years to do something I should have done in 6. That cost me money and time. And then I thought about all the other costs, key relationships, very devastatingly damaged by my own inaction, business, finance, everything, my health, everything was impacted by procrastination, everything. And so by the time I finished the trip home, I was both quite angry with myself and incredibly upset. I was inconsolable, actually, for quite some time when I started to think about the regrets that had crept in there. I mean, you have a broken relationship, you regret that at the time. But when I realized the role that procrastination had played in all of it, and that was a conscious choice, by the way, procrastination is a conscious choice. There's a reason for that, which we'll go into in a moment. So I just thought, okay, I know, I'll ask my brother. He's a mental health professional. He was. I'll ask him, just remind me. I rang him up. I had a mental pen and paper. What's the cure for procrastination again? Despite all my training, by the way, my clients never procrastinated, so I can't ask them. Of course they did. I just stopped them procrastinating, but I couldn't quite put my finger on why. I was being a bit dense, I'll admit, but I was curious to know what he thought. And there was a sharp intake of breath, a long silence. You could almost hear the tumbleweed. And then he said, no, got nothing, don't know. Well, he probably does now because we've talked about it a lot since then. But that began the journey.
At that moment,
I need to find out.
Okay. So raised awareness, realized the cost, really kind of grieved some of the impact of that, and decided, I got to do something different. But how do I even start with that? So how did you start with that?
Well, I'm a great believer, and I work with what is rather than what might be. And what is I just got a degree. Did I mention that? I just got a degree. Yay. And it doesn't matter what the degree was in. I don't mind telling you. It was psychology, it was philosophy, and there was also a really cool module on Roman history, which I really enjoyed. I'm a geek, what can I say? And I didn't particularly enjoy the psychology, you might be surprised to hear. I really hated that. But anyway, the point was that it taught me how to research. It taught me how to read research. And so I thought, I'll go to the research. And then we had the gift that keeps on giving, COVID. I say that ironically. It keeps on giving you too much time on your hands with lockdowns, which, as everybody on planet Earth knows about. So I used that time, I utilized it, and I thought, okay, so let's do the research. And the first thing I discovered was that in one 10-year period in the early 2000s, just as an example, over 900 research projects into procrastination and productivity had been conducted at the highest level. I thought, well, I don't need to research it. I just need to try and bring the common strands of the research together. And also, there's a lot of authority books out there that have been doing that for years. I wasn't doing anything original, but I thought what I need to do is voice this in my own communication way, my own voice. Because although I've called it a science, and I'll explain that if I forget, remind me, but I'll explain that in a moment. What I was doing was I was going to the science, looking for the actual proven source material and thinking, how can I turn this into plain English? Because, to give you an idea of my background in science, my last exam at school that I did in science, we did physics, chemistry, and science in those days as the three top topics of science. I always remember my biology exam, the last one I ever did, I got a mark of 9%. And I was incredulous about it, but you won't know why. You won't guess why. It was because when I went to speak to the teacher that had marked it a few weeks later, I said, hey, how come I got 9%? I didn't answer any of the questions because I didn't know any of the answers. Not a thing. It all went in this ear and out that ear. And how did I get 9%?
You were protesting your 9%, thinking it should have been 0.
Yes, and I didn't mind that it was 9%, but how did that happen?
Yes, I'm just confused.
And he said, oh, yeah, I remember that. He said, I was just so impressed by how spectacularly badly you did, but you spelt your name right. So I thought I'll give him 9%. I thought, oh, okay, that was nice.
Okay, well, thank you for that.
So my point is that I can't retain scientific facts. And if you are a scientist and you can, God bless you, but I can't. So I have to find a way of communicating it in a different way.
You said so many great things there, but one of the things that I really hope everybody hears is rarely is there going to be something that we put out these days that's brand new information. Like you said, Robin, this isn't that nobody thought about procrastination before me, or nobody thought about getting results before me. But what you did was look at, there's been a lot of research already done. I don't need to get a grant and do a bunch of research. I can take advantage of the research that's out there and pull it together through my lens and help people hear the message a different way through my perspective. And I don't know how many times I hear coaches or other professionals I work with saying, well, I can't write a book because it's already been said, or I can't create a keynote because it's not a new concept. The concept is, how are you presenting it in a way that somebody might need to hear just the way Robin said it, or just the way Joe's saying it, or Nancy's saying it. And so I really want all of you who are listening to hear that message. Robin took what was out there, pulled it together, and get resultsology, which is a mouthful. That is his take on it. And I promise you, it resonates with people who needed to hear it through Robin's lens. So let's talk a little bit about the lens that you looked through once you pulled that all together.
Okay. What do you want to know?
Well, I want to know, what was you took all that together, and then somehow, some way you came up with, okay, this is how I want to present it. What was that journey like for you?
So here's the challenge, right? I was coming from a place of profound firsthand knowledge, deeply damaged, deeply painful to think about, embarrassing, facepalm moment, facepalm about my whole life, embarrassing. I'm a very modest person when I say this, but I'm actually a pretty good coach. I'm modest about it too. So how come I procrastinate? My clients never procrastinate, right? So I thought, okay, there's a clue there. And I'll come to that in a moment. But I thought, actually, over the years, I haven't been completely ignorant of it. I have done things about it. Behind me, I've got a cupboard full, literally full, of planners and journals and schedulers with the most brilliant systems and ideas and ways of thinking about planning your day, your life, your year, your 10 years. All of them are brilliant, but there's a reason they're in the cupboard. And the reason is because they all worked for a while. And then they didn't work. I just didn't find myself using them anymore. So I realized what I needed to do was I needed to come up with, when I was thinking about laying out the book, I thought, okay, I need 3 things. I need, or I'm hoping that my reader needs 3 things. I know that my reader needs 3 things because I need these 3 things. I need to understand it. What the heck is going on? Because not only could I not find out how to fix it, but worse, I couldn't find out what was the root cause of it. And then the second thing is, when you understand something, in other words, what I was doing was in the first section of the book, which is called the understanding section, is I'm teaching people to fish rather than giving them the fish. It's an old analogy, but it still works really well. The second section is, okay, when you understand that you're procrastinating, then you have an opportunity to do something about it. And you understand why you're doing it, then you have another and more opportunity to do something about it. So the second section of the book is a toolbox, or as I prefer to call it, a pick and mix selection of tried and tested strategies for dealing with procrastination. Not the ones that don't work, but the ones that do. And I put the best of the best into that section of the book. And it is a toolbox, it is a selection, the pick and mix, because no 2 people are alike. And so no single strategy works for the same people, different people in the same way, right? So I suggest you try them all, and then you pick the ones that are effective for you, and they may not be effective for you forever. So try some other ones, right?
I love that. Can I pause you just for a second? Because the other thing I want people to hear is, if you're working with people, just because one technique or strategy worked with one client, don't assume it's going to work with another client. So Robin's whole toolbox that he gave you in the second part, when you're working with clients, think about the fact that you have a whole toolbox, and we work with clients differently depending upon who that is and what ideas resonate with them. So yes, for you, and also for anybody that you might be working with, that same philosophy happens. So thank you for that. And I'll push the play button again. Go ahead, continue into part 3.
I was going to pretend there that the screen is frozen. I've gone to make a coffee, but no, I'm still here. Yes, absolutely. Completely right. You're spot on. Yeah. So before I forget my train of thought that I was going back to briefly, and that, by the way, that's what you said there was absolutely spot on. And thank you for sharing it. The understanding bit, right? With why is it important to understand it? Why? Because I get people say to me, I don't want to understand it. I just want to fix it. Well, I'll give you a very simple analogy. If you get to the end of the money, you can always make more money. There is an infinite supply of money in the world. And you know this because they print it or they digitally make it if you're into cryptocurrency and all that. There's no shortage of money, right? And you can always manufacture, make more. But what is finite is your time, your life. And with procrastination does impact your bank account massively, potentially. But more to the point is it massively impacts your time account. And if you get to the end of the day, the week, the month, the year, in my case, the decades, and you look back and you say, oh no, why did I procrastinate all that time away? Oh, never mind, I can always make some more. No, you can't, it's gone. So the time to catch procrastination is when it's happening and you still have time to do something about it. And you will only do that if you understand A, that you're procrastinating, and B, why am I procrastinating right now? That's why I focus so heavily on that.
Okay. So that was the way you were looking at it, the way that you set it out. You started with understanding, you moved into the toolbox, and what did you move into next?
So the final section, which was really what made me think I need to write this down and turn it into a book. Because I didn't start out to write a book. I thought, oh, I'll just do some search engine stuff, find out what the cure for procrastination is, and move on. And then as I started,
because at that time it was very personal. It was like,
yes,
what's going on with me?
Yes. And I wasn't coaching, right? I was doing other stuff with online. I was in the digital world, online marketing and stuff, but I wasn't coaching, right? I just finished my degree. I was pretty busy. So I was looking for something else to do. And so I realized that, oh, hang on, understanding it, and then the toolbox and the strategies, as I call them in the book. What's the missing link? What's the missing link? Why is there a cupboard full of productivity planners? Why is that? That's only a metaphor for all the strategies that I've employed over the years. And for some reason, I'm not using them anymore, right? Momentum. We talk about the other end, motivation, and there's some brilliant work written about how to get motivated to get productive. And I cover that in the book, and I cover some of the experts that have talked about that because I owe them a great debt because they're very clear on it. But momentum is the missing link, because if you don't build up momentum with your productivity, you'll end up sat in the cupboard with your books journals that don't work anymore. So I dedicate the third section, which it also has some extra strategies in it that are much more geared towards creating that momentum in the first place. And that's my focus. That's where I go. That's why my momentum formula, which funnily enough I don't talk about it in the book, but it's what the book is about. And I've realized since that that's what it is. It's do it today, profit tomorrow, and repeat, like the shampoo on a shampoo bottle, the shampoo instructions. And it's a play on words because there is a shampoo instruction called and repeat, which is how they sell twice as much shampoo than you really need. But that's by and by. And tomorrow bit that's the procrastination's mantra, isn't it? I'll do it tomorrow, right? But this is, no, I'm not going to do it tomorrow. I'm going to profit tomorrow from the work that I got done today. And I'm going to keep doing that and keep doing that and keep doing that ad infinitum until I'm fed up with working, because work is not the be all and end all of life. It's a means to an end. And I'm actually not interested in productivity. I'm not interested in procrastination. I'm interested in creating lifestyle freedom. That's what I'm interested in. And I know that for someone that works from home, for myself, no boss, solopreneur, a coach, the way I get my lifestyle freedom and help my clients get it is get them the income, the turnover, the profit that they need sooner, more, and with more certainty they're going to get there from the sweat of their own brow, but not in a way that stresses them out and makes them feel like I'd rather die than go to work tomorrow, right? Because that's not what it's about. So that's the three sections of the book summarized.
So good. So I appreciate that you walked through your process, because I think often people are wondering how to get their work into the world and sort of and when they hear somebody's process, how it all came together for you, I just think that can be so helpful. You also put things together in sort of three avatars or three beings. Can you share what that is about and how your creativity brought you to that as well?
Okay. Science versus creativity. The science. You need to be productive. So I use the analogy of it's like getting a stylus into the groove of an old-fashioned LP, a vinyl record. And I've got this little tune in my head, Madonna's Get Into the Groove, which I can't use because it's copyright, but I've said the words now. But it's Get Into the Groove, right? And so when sometimes I'll hum it while I'm working. Oh, I'm in the, get it right. I can't say it. Oh, you'll get done for music rights. So the point is to get into the productivity groove, you need three things in place. Like a vinyl record, you need the record to be spinning at the right speed. You need the needle to come down in the groove, and then you need the balance of the arm on the needle to keep it in there, and the signal can then go and be translated into music. But I want to create the music of your life, not the music of Madonna, right? And so the way that we do that is we get into the productivity groove, and the way that we do that is the inner productivity team. And you need to understand now, the understanding section of the book deals with biology, that thing I got 9% in, right? But it is about your brain. So when I explain to you what I'm about to explain to you, that it's neuroscience and psychology, but it's neuroscience, this is what I read, and I thought, okay, steam coming out my ears, how do I turn this into plain English? So at the center of your brain, you've got the limbic system. And the limbic system is the part of your brain that deals with the most basic features of the human brain. And if you think about it, your brain actually only has two functions. First, your survival. And secondly, as part of that, procreation. That's it. That's all your brain's about, actually. It's just, how do I get through today, tomorrow, the rest of my life, and procreate so that my species and I survive in that way, right? And it's very, very powerful. It's the oldest part of your brain, as in evolutionary terms, and it's incredibly powerful. It overrides everything, because that's where your fight, flight, or freeze response comes from. Or as I've called it, I didn't originate this, but I think it's the best description of it. It's threat modality. And when you're in threat modality, it means that if you're walking down the street and you see a man-eating tiger coming at you, you better run. And you know exactly how to do it, and you don't need to think about it, because the limbic system doesn't think, it just acts. And everything else shuts down that you don't need, except, the things you need to run. Right? Mm-hmm. Or you might have the wherewithal to put your trainers on, because your friend hasn't got any. And they say, well, you put your trainers on, you can't outrun a tiger. No, well, you don't need to outrun a tiger. I just need to outrun you. Sorry, dad joke. That's what I call a dad joke. But the point is, that is the mode that you're in. The problem is, in the modern age, threat modality isn't triggered by man-eating tigers, unless you live in certain parts of the world. It's triggered by modern day tiger equivalents. Eviction notices, bills you can't pay, illnesses that you can't cope with, loved ones being sick, you being sick, relationship squabbles, you name it, all sorts of things, anything, all the bad news that we have to deal with on a daily, weekly, monthly, lifetime basis triggers threat modality. And if you've ever noticed, when you're in threat modality and you're upset, how hard is it to work when you're upset?
Very hard to focus and concentrate when you're upset. Yes.
Yeah. And often we do, because we have to, but you know that you are not being very effective and as productive as you would like to be and you need to be. But that's because what's happened is there's another part of your brain up here on the bald part of my head, which is quite most of my head, called the limbic system. Sorry, not the limbic system. I've already said that. No, see, I wasn't thinking. That was the limbic system kicking in. It's the prefrontal cortex, and the prefrontal cortex is a very interesting part of the brain. If you're a young adult and you're under 25, it's not yet fully formed, which is a clue as to why teenagers in particular procrastinate, and they're the group of procrastinators in the world. If you think about students, it's also why it's so well researched, because students are at universities. What do universities do? They research things. Where do they find their subjects? Students who procrastinate. There's an interesting topic, right? Where can we find students who procrastinate? Absolutely everywhere, right? So, and that's partly because the prefrontal cortex, which is actually where you do your rational thinking, comes from, and the upper part of your brain is the higher things that you need to do to get done come from, and that's called your reward modality. And I'm just going to finish off with the science and then go into plain English. I'm going to bamboozle you, because I bamboozle myself. I promise. I always do this. In order for the productivity to be in full flow, for you to get fully into that groove, you need 3 neurotransmitters, the stuff that our brain uses to communicate amongst itself, to be present. You need dopamine. Now, we've all heard of dopamine. It's probably the most famous neurotransmitter in the world. It's the celebrity of the neurotransmitter world. And dopamine is a fascinating topic. Lots of books have been written about it. But it's the thing that makes you feel energetic. It makes you feel high. It makes you feel happy. It's the thing that we want. It's, I want this chocolate gives you dopamine if you're a chocolate lover. Fast rides give you dopamine. Games that you love, movies that you love, people that you love being around gives you dopamine. Being intimate is a dopamine hit, all of those things, right? Also, working hard and being happy with your work is dopamine, and you need it to get into the groove. And I thought, well, I can't call it that because I need to describe what it does, not what it's called. So I've called it the conductor, like the conductor of an orchestra. And a conductor of an orchestra, it's very simple. They're in charge. They write the arrangement, and then they take this cacophony of bad sound from all these disparate instruments and they bring them all together and they create a coherent orchestra that is then makes the most beautiful music of your life, right? And that's what the conductor's job is to do. And they, by the way, they are locked out of the orchestra room when you're in threat modality. They don't get a look in. They take too long to think, but they're the ones that need to be in charge. So you need them, right? And then the second one is noradrenaline. Now, adrenaline is in the word because noradrenaline, in plain English, I've called them the fun-sized warrior. Now, the fun-sized warrior, like the fun-sized chocolate bar you can get in your lunchbox when you're a kiddie, right, is not your main warrior, not the one that runs from the tiger or stops and fights it. The fun-sized warrior is just a little bit of anxiety, just a little bit of stress, not too much, not too little. In fact, James Clear puts it perfectly when he says the Goldilocks rule with the bowls of porridge. Not
just
too much,
right.
That's not too much, not too little, just enough. And that's what you need. You need to be sat down, obviously, and if I sit down and go to work and I'm back here, that's very different to if I'm leaning forward and I'm into it, right? And that's because I'm anxious and I'm a little bit stressed. I really need to get this done. I want to get this done on time, right? Just a little bit. Too much, and I'm going to be, I think I'd rather play a game.
Right.
Right. So you need a little bit, right? And that's noradrenaline.
Eustress, it's sometimes called. Eustress. EU stress. Yeah.
Yes. All right. And so the final one is an interesting one. It's called acetylcholine, which took me about 200 years to learn how to say that word and another 200 to remember it. Is actually a very interesting neurotransmitter. Children have it in bucket loads, and it's the focus neurotransmitter. And if you think about, that's why children are scholars. But if you think, but I'm talking about babies and children under 5 as well, they have it in bucket loads then. And that's because you need to focus when you're a child because you have to learn so much. You have to learn language. You have to learn to speak. You have to learn to understand when other people are speaking. You have to learn to walk. You have to learn everything that you have to learn because you are massively, massively vulnerable for a very long time. And so you are at an accelerated rate. You have to learn stuff. And even though it's still several years before you're not vulnerable anymore, you are actually learning faster than you will learn at any other time in your life. I mean, how long does it take for an adult to learn a language if they've never learned one other than the one they speak before? As a child, they learn to speak by the time they're 2. So, and that's because they focus. And if you've ever been a child, I think I was once, then you'll know that you used to focus on. And if you have children, then you'll see them focusing on things really intently. They'll play with the box that really expensive toy came in. They'll play with the box for hours, the toy, forget about, but the box, they'll play with it for hours. They'll watch the same movie over and over and over again. They can be distracted. Gas is a good distractor. But other than that, they're very focused. Here's the kicker. In adult life, we don't have acetylcholine in our system anymore. We have to manufacture it. And our bodies will manufacture it, but only if the conditions are right. It's not naturally present. But you need to be so I call that one the scholar, and you need to be a scholar. So the inner productivity team is the conductor, the fun-sized warrior, and the scholar. And when all 3 are present, you will be in the groove. You will be. And the reward modality will be in charge. The threat modality is shut down, and the threat modality is where the procrastination comes from. Hello, fight, flight, and freeze. Why do we freeze? Because there's resistance. Why is there resistance? Because we're not passionate about something, because we're scared of something, because we're unhappy about doing something. Procrastination is irrational in the modern world. And I always make the distinction, it's not laziness. People who are lazy are making a conscious choice to be lazy. People who procrastinate, and I speak as someone who has first-hand knowledge of this, a chronic procrastinator, it is, I really want to work now, but I'm struggling and I can't figure out why I'm not working right now. That's not laziness. That's irrational not working. Laziness is, I don't want to work and I don't care. That's fine. I'm not their judge. And
Right.
one person's laziness is someone else's rest and relaxation. Who am I to say what that is and isn't? But if you find yourself not working when you're desperate to work, you are in threat modality. Something is threatening you in your own mind, hopefully not a timer. Right. And you're resisting. And there's other things that I go into the book about, goals are too far out, which brings me on to the momentum section. And I can tell you about that if we have time.
Well, actually, why don't we touch on momentum as we are wrapping up? Because very truthfully, Robin, I could continue to talk to you. This is so engaging and interesting, and I want to honor your time. So when we think, what's like one lesson you want us to, or one thought you want us to take from the momentum section of the book?
Sure. Well, I'll give you two thoughts. First is, I'm English. I can talk for England. I think I've proved that. The second thing is, momentum is all about keeping going. And so the missing link that I found, now I don't want people to think, if you get the book, which we'll tell you a really cool way to do that in a minute, but if you get the book, you'll see that there's a whole section on momentum strategies. But the one that hit me square between the eyes, the one that made me decide, I need to restart coaching, was accountability. Because I realized that 80% of the results that my coaching clients got when they worked with me was from the 20% accountability element of the coaching. And I thought, wait a minute, I'd rather just focus on, I'll just be an accountability coach, because then I'm getting they're going to get 100% of the results they get with me are going to be getting results, by the way. It's just get results with an ology on the end, which is a science, right? And because they're going to be held to account. Because here's the thing, I went to the research, it kept coming up again and again. Dominican University of California, a lady called Gail Matthews, did some research in 2007 by way of an example. And she found that she set people goals. And she said to the one group, she said, don't just think about your goals and just get on with them. Don't write it down. Don't do anything. Just get on with them and report back in a month how many you've achieved. And then she went through 4 or 5 other groups. And the 5th group that had a very, very high level of accountability in there, including writing their goals down, a very high level of accountability. And the distinction was that the base group, 43% of them said, we achieved most of our goals or were some way towards achieving them. The top tier, with the accountability elements and writing down their goals and all of that going on, 76%, a 33% improvement. Now, that's not hundreds, and I'm not pretending it's hundreds. I'm following the science. But think about it. If after a month you have achieved 33% more of your business-related goals towards increasing your turnover, your income, your profits, month 1, month 2, 33% more, month 3, 33% more, the exponential growth is huge. Huge. And I thought, because I'm all about adding value. That's why I love coaching, because I don't like the phrase helping people. I love supporting people, working with people, helping them to get their dreams. If they want to change the world, I want to help them change the world. And the way that you do that is that you use the time that you have available to you. And I'm not being morbid. I'm just saying about your working time that you want to work, not the time that you want to spend with friends and family and chilling on the beach, drinking pina coladas or whatever, fruit-based cocktails, whatever you like, is you get more productive with the time that you've got. And accountability is the missing element. Accountability, when you work from home like I do, I've got a fabulous coffee machine. I make the best coffee in the world, and I'm modest about that too. I make nice coffee. I have a nice view from my window. I have flexible hours. Everything, it's cushy. I won't pretend, because I don't have a boss. The only boss looking at me in the morning is the one in the mirror, and that's me. I'm working for a lunatic, but he's my lunatic. But he's not holding me accountable. And so if I say to myself, I'm going to work really hard today, and then I decide, oh, I can't be bothered. So who's going to know? I won't let my clients down. I won't miss appointments. But for the other stuff that I want to get on with, because those, by the way, that's an accountability thing. I am accountable to my clients, but to myself, no. I need that. For me, I needed that external, oh gosh, Meg's going to be on my case if I don't tell her that I did what I was going to do. She's going to be on my case. I don't want to embarrass myself, and I don't want to let her down. You can't recreate that. Now, look, there are people that don't procrastinate that do have methods for doing that. That's another topic. But this book really isn't for them. They don't procrastinate. This is for the people that do. Which, by the way, final statistic, 95% of people, when they surveyed, claim that they procrastinate a little bit. Sometimes we all do. It's not a big deal. I don't want to make people to think that procrastination is devastating. It's not. But of those 95%, 1 in 5 of them claim to chronically procrastinate. And that's what I'm talking about. And that's life-changing. That causes facepalm moments, feelings of regret, and missing out on the things that you really want in your life.
So helpful. So very helpful. So Robin, how can people reach you and connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I wanted to just share with you, first of all, people can reach me directly just by finding me on LinkedIn, Robin J. Emdon. Just look for Robin J. Emdon. I'm the only Robin J. Emdon in the world, so that's easy. And it's spelled as it is on the book, Emdon. But the book itself, so I wrote the book, and it's behind me, but I've got it here. And I tell you this not to brag, but to say this is a serious book, and it's written in plain English, but there are 80,000 words in here. And so, it's not a light read, and I want to help you read it. So the first thing I got to do is get it into your hands. And then the second thing I want to do is make it sure that you can reach me if you want to ask questions about it. So to get it into your hands, you can get it from Amazon if you want to pay money for it. You can get it on Kindle or printed book, but I don't want to do that. I want to give it to you. So you can have it as a free, unabridged PDF, exactly the same copy as you would get on Amazon, only not printed off, obviously. And you can get that from a special link that I've got created called reallyusefultips.com. That's really as in, yes, I really am giving it away. I haven't come to my senses yet. Useful as in, I hope you'll find it useful, and tips as it's in full of them. Reallyusefultips.com. And in there, I actually ask you to send me a pledge that you're going to commit to read the book. And because I'm a procrastinator, I'm terrible at reading books. I've practiced Sudoku for years, it's a Japanese word for the act of collecting books and stacking them up and never reading them. Don't do that with this one. This could change your life. So get the book, send me a pledge, email me. There's a special email address for that, although I'm easy to find on my main website, which spookily enough is called getresultsology.com. But you can also just spooky, isn't it? But you can also send me an email with your pledge. I read them all. I reply to them all. I don't pay someone to reply to my emails. I don't ignore people. You'll get a reply. And let me know that you're doing it. And a little bit of accountability there for you.
Love that. Robin, thank you so much for opening our lens and helping us think differently about, where are we in this? Is this chronic for us? Is this annoying? Is this not an issue? Wherever we're at, what I love about this interview is that we can all kind of look inward about this, and we can also think about who do we work with that this information might be super helpful for. So it's a double bubble interview, and those are my very favorite. As we are wrapping up today, I strongly encourage all of you to connect with Robin, to take advantage of that beautiful gift. He's giving you his entire book for free. And to just know that here at the Star Coach Show, we're about helping you thrive in your lives and supplying those strategies, tools, and resources to help you do so. My big thing is that here on this earth right now, there's a lot of looking at what makes us different and what keeps us separate. And I just encourage you to think today, what connects you to others? What is it that draws you to somebody else? How can you get curious and learn more about somebody so that maybe this divide begins to come closer together and we can all do the heavy lifting together? So until next week, this is Meg Rentschler wishing you the very best in your journey. And we'll see you next week. Thanks again, Robin.
Bye-bye.